Wonder Woman is a good movie. If you want to go see it, you probably should. And the ending, though, is unsatisfying. It's just a boss fight at the end, so to speak. Punching match with a magic MacGuffin device that she wins with. So the last like 10-15 minutes feels like it's in a different movie. But it is good. And I think pretty much anyone will enjoy themselves during the movie. So I'm not going to, continue to give a review or something like that about the movie. I think that there's enough of that. And there's not a whole lot to say about it either, because it is just good. And really the ending could have made it great, but it really it detracted from the movie experience at the end. Very unsatisfying ending. Gal Gadot was very good. I did not like her portrayal in BVS. She did a good job. Her and Chris Pine really make the movie, both of them together. The interactions and how they play off of each other, it's great to watch. But something I want to talk about is they keep bringing up this strong female lead. And we've already had those. We've had those in past movies, such as in Alien and Aliens and T1 and T2. We've had, for lack of a better term, I don't even think this is a good term to be perfectly honest, strong female leads. And how they made strong female leads was they wrote them as real characters, as real people. They had flaws and they had virtues. This is a problem that has been solved, and I am baffled that we are back now to making things like Ghostbusters and other movies. And the reason it comes up with Wonder Woman is because I think it does fall on the side of a good movie, but there seems to be an online push to some sort of feeling in the culture to push this strong female lead, and that she wants to be representative of it. But she borders closer to an actual character than just a cardboard cutout. She does have a character arc in the movie, and she does change. And she's not perfect by any means in the movie. So, I think that's why she borders more to the line of it being an actual character that you can enjoy and get behind. Just like Chris Pine's character is too. They don't go really dark or anything with the movie, but there is some darkness there. There are some flaws, some vices, as well as virtues for both of them. So you get to see a full rounded, full person, just like in real life. And it makes it much more immersive and relatable, because it's just very hard, I think, to get sucked into a movie that's really satisfying. It can be entertaining to have, a cardboard cutout of a person, but it's not going to really grip you. You'll forget it as soon as you leave, kind of like a piece of candy. So I don't think that this is something that has to be argued or fought over, because we already know how to solve it. It was solved many, many years ago, this problem. And if you're having a problem because you're not seeing strong female leads, then either you or the people that you are paying to watch just need to be better writers. That's, I think, really the solution to that. She does give a lot of good, genuine reactions. One thing that I liked was when she first saw a baby, but she'd never seen one before. And, it was very heartwarming. It was very feminine, the way she responded. And it felt genuine, like her joy at seeing a baby. And I wish they'd had a lot more moments a bit, I guess, like that. Not necessarily with just a baby, but with just things in general, which they did. So I really can't complain, although that one really stood out to me as just a highlight in the movie, but it was so brief, 10 seconds or something. The action was very good. It had a good, I guess you can tell that Snyder, helped out with that. And Snyder is very good with action and with visuals, and the movie definitely benefits from that. And I think this shows something else about the DC movies, is that Snyder isn't the end problem, because his influence is definitely felt in the movie and in the action sequences. I think the real problem is the writer, which again may be his fault because I don't know how much input he had on who he picked as the writer, which I believe in the other movies it's Goyer, especially in BVS. That clearly, to me, seems to be a bad choice. And just from a little bit of interviews that I've heard from them, I don't, especially Goyer, I should say, I don't know that he actually understands the appeal of the character, which is kind of sad to say. You would think someone that's writing it at that level for Warner Brothers would have a firm grasp of the entire thing and what's going on, but for Superman and Batman, it doesn't appear so. And this one still had a lot of Snyder's influence in it, as him as producer. He okayed everything, and it's good, except for the fight. That brings me something else at the end of the movie. I'm really curious if the movie ended after the German general was killed, because you could actually have the ending where she kills the German general, the fighting continues, but they still have to deal with the bombs on the plane. So you just continue with the story as that, and she's stunned, that it wasn't necessarily Ares, it was people. So I'm wondering if they felt that was unacceptable for some reason, that we needed a big boss fight ending, because the fight was very generic, nothing memorable about it beyond maybe the guy's mustache. Ares has a mustache, by the way. I don't know if that will amuse you or detract from it from you, but it is just that ending was very sloppy for Ares and whatnot, because they show him clearly disappearing, like he can just appear and disappear, kind of like teleport, but you don't even notice it. He just gone. So why doesn't he just go out when the fight gets bad or something, right? Or blink away, it just wasn't good. And she does something with her lightning and the bracers to absorb the attack and shoot it back, which she'd never done in the whole movie. That's why I kind of say it's a magic MacGuffin device that she wins with, which is very unfortunate given that how well the action was shot. Because I was not looking forward actually to seeing Wonder Woman fight soldiers. I thought that would be very boring. It's like, okay, she's Wonder Woman, of course she can fight soldiers. This is not entertaining. But the way they presented and her character arc through the movie makes it believable, and it's good. So it makes sense within within the movie's confines that they've built the parameters. So I really wonder, the DC, I think the problem has been the writer Goyer. And I think that if they can get someone else in there, someone like a Max Landis, or someone that's clearly loves the comics, knows the comics, and is ready to, has a record of writing movies. I don't think you want to take a comic book writer directly and say, hey, write me a screenplay. I don't know how that really works out, but I think that's pretty clear that that's the problem with those. And who knows? Well, I mean, Justice League is done. They're just doing reshoots and filming it, so who knows how that will end up being. I assume that it will be better because they have been receptive to feedback. Even Snyder and Warner Brothers, they've noticed it and they've taken stock of it, unlike other movie companies that attack their fans or just double down on what they're doing. So I have to hand it to Warner Brothers. Even though they've received a lot of hate, they never have attacked the fans. I've never seen them say anything disparaging about people going to see their films that don't like the films. So I do have to give them that, because they certainly have seemed to receive quite a bit of hate that way. One thing I do like about the movie is they made no bones about the Greek gods being real. So in this DCEU, well, they're all pretty much dead now, but Zeus could still be around, and who knows, they could always come back. That, comic books, no one's ever dead forever. So I did like that they just went ahead and embraced that, just go with it. I wish a lot of the other comic book movies would just go with the good stuff that they have, even if it's wacky and crazy a little bit. That's part of it. That's what makes it special and unique and different. And trying to get rid of the weird stuff and just keep the bright colors or just the name of the character, that sort of thing, I think has kind of fallen by the wayside. We now know that you can indeed make a comic book movie, and it can be fairly accurate and true to the source material. It doesn't have to be, obviously a word for word or exact page for page, but it can be a good representation of the source material, and audiences will accept that. It's pretty clear with Deadpool in particular. That was quite different than anything we have seen, especially the gore and the humor, and it did great. And I'm a Deadpool fan, been one for many, many, many years. I think I actually have his number one when you had a limited series. He had 4 or 5 comics that came out as a limited series quite a few years back, and I actually think I have those originals. So I've enjoyed that character quite a bit. But getting back to Wonder Woman, I did not like her portrayal in BVS, but I did like her in the Wonder Woman movie, which is really bizarre because how's she going to be in Justice League or the rest of the movies? Are we going to get the Gal Gadot from Wonder Woman, or are we going to get the Gal Gadot from BVS, or maybe something else in between there, or something off the chart? I don't know, but it really makes me wonder though why. Well, I guess one reason we know that it seems pretty apparent to me that in BVS she was thrown in at the last minute. If you think about the fight and what was going on, if you just take her out and have Batman and Superman doing it, nothing really changes. It's all the same, and you don't need her in the fight, which makes me really think that she was never supposed to be in that movie, which she shouldn't have been. Clearly, I mean, if they actually wanted to include all 3 of them, they shouldn't call it BVS because you're just cramming too much stuff in there. Should be Justice League. Just go to that. Or, actually make her part of it. Really make a good movie and not just have her dropped in, speckled in here and there, like a piece of salt or something. The interplay between Gal Gadot and Chris Pine was really good, especially just them talking. The interactions, and I think this is something that the other comic book movies in general can learn from. It doesn't have to be all ramped up at 110 or even 90% all the time. You can dial it back down to 10, 20 sometimes, and just let them talk for a minute or two. Just let some people talk. Let the characters, as you would do, have a minute's conversation. And, actually have a conversation, not spouting off, okay, here's what's happening in the movie, and here's what's going to need to happen next. That's not what we're talking about. But actual, people. Those scenes were pretty, they really did make the movie, those two, and their interactions with the dialogue and just how they played off of each other. I think if you hadn't had such good rapport with the two of them, it just really wouldn't have worked. And it obviously wouldn't have worked without the writing and the portrayal. It would be pretty boring, but it can be done. And if you can do it with these two characters, certainly I remember from the comics, lots of times Batman's in the cave and him and Alfred are just talking. And we never seem to have a problem with that. So let's have a little bit more of that. A little bit more actual character. People sitting down and talking like I am now, like you are, like we do to other people. It's normal and natural, and it's how it kind of should go. If you have anything else you want to add about Wonder Woman or have any questions, certainly feel free to ask. Like I said, it's a good movie. You won't feel robbed of your money, but the ending is disappointed. And knowing that, it's something funny that I found is that if you can kind of get a good read of what a movie is before you go in, particularly if it's not very good or if it's just okay or good, you can scale your expectations to that. So me telling you that the movie's good, but the end fight scene with the Ares is kind of a letdown and kind of generic CGI boss fight. Well, you know what to expect, so you won't be let down. But if you don't know that, when you go into the movie, it's really good. And you do not expect a different movie in the last 10 minutes, and that's what you got. So it was very shocking and jarring. I saw it with my wife. She hated that ending. hated it. And it does leave a sour taste in your mouth. But knowing that, you can go in and enjoy it, and you won't be, as surprised when the ending isn't really what they kind of led up to. Which it really should have, I don't think for Wonder Woman it should have been just like a fist fight with and then a magic MacGuffin that wins. It should have been something more along her overcoming from what she learned, the duality, good and evil, do exist in people, and both do. Just like, so, just having it be a CGI fight and then a magic poof to win is really unsatisfying given everything. You expect a bit more from Wonder Woman, I think, at that point. And given the writing that was so on point, the story that they built, the character arc they were going to, there is a small arc. I mean, there is some good, is that she finally accepts that she is a god or goddess. So she does realize her divinity. But it's kind of lost in just the CGI mess. And it doesn't really stand out. And even her knowing that and accepting that doesn't... It doesn't play into her just being able to defeat Ares. I hope you all have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, or night, wherever you are. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to ask below. Bye.